Rebekah Roth here again. And I just want to remind you of some really crazy details that I was just thinking of the other day, and I was jotting them down on my napkin, as I do. There's just things about 9/11, and you may be too young to even know when this what happened, what they told us when it happened, and you may be old enough to actually have forgotten some of these things that still don't make any sense. Or maybe if you have paid attention, maybe these things are telling us something. Let me just start with the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, reported that Building 7 had collapsed 20 full minutes before it actually had at 5:20 p.m. How did they know? Nanothermite was actually found in the dust from the towers, and I know that for a fact, having communicated with the scientists that found it. Several firefighters and other witnesses reported that there were bombs or explosions going off inside the Twin Towers, not just the airplane crash thing. The Twin Towers were actually designed to withstand being struck by a Boeing 707. At the time, it was like the largest, most popular plane. Air Force One was a 707 for years until it became a 747. So let me just tell you that the 707 was very similar in all aspects as the 767. But remember, the 767 actually had landed. Remember that there are several eyewitnesses to those planes landing at Westover Air Force Base that morning. But let's take a quick look at the two planes. The 707 was 153 feet long. The 767 was 159 feet long. The wingspan of the 707 was 142 feet. The wingspan of the 767, roughly 156 feet. Passenger load was for both aircraft about 180, depending upon the configuration. The fuel capacity was almost exactly the same, 24,000 gallons, US gallons. So the towers were built to withstand being hit by basically a plane, 707. 767, 757, pretty much all the same. And it appears that there were explosives set inside the towers because we know the planes had landed. At the time of 9/11, U.S. foreign policy was being run by neocons. You probably saw them on TV. They'd been pushing Bill Clinton and were now pushing George W. Bush to remove Saddam Hussein from Iraq. They had called for a new Pearl Harbor type of event. Well, it certainly was needed to get the American people behind a war against Iraq, and quite frankly, a war for Israel. We had General Wesley Clark, remember, telling us that around the 20th of September, he moseyed back into the Pentagon, and he was told there that the Pentagon was already planning 7 wars for the next 5 years. They were with Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Sudan, Somalia, and eventually Iran. That's where we're going next. Now, you know why, even though there was no Iraqis in their official story on those planes, no Iraqi actors, the neocons' target was in fact Saddam Hussein and Iraq for Israel. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld announced the day before that the Pentagon had misplaced $2.3 trillion. After the events of the following day, nobody ever asked, what about that missing $2.3 trillion? And we were never told. They never found it, apparently. Whatever happened to the missing $1 trillion anyway? There were 85 plus security cameras that were removed and confiscated by the FBI from around the Pentagon. They didn't want you to see that airplane that didn't hit, apparently. Why would they hide that? Those are still sealed away, by the way. On 9/11, there were millions of dollars of put options placed on by someone from the CIA, I actually know his name, on United Airlines, American, and also some other hospitality stocks like rental cars and hotels. Well, nobody's ever been exposed for that, but what it does tell us is somebody at the CIA, and I know his name, that placed those put options, they knew something was going to happen that was going to affect not just the airlines, the two involved, but they were like 2,500 times more a typical transaction. It was crazy. They appeared to have some, what we call, foreknowledge of something that was going to affect aviation and hospitality. Someone associated with the CIA. But then we have Larry Silverstein. He owned the Twin Towers and Building 7. He went on TV, I think that day, and told us, all of us on TV watching, that he felt so bad by 5 p.m. that he just told the fire department, just pull it, just pull it. Well, that's not what fire departments do. Nobody ever questioned that, but pull it isn't a word used in the fire department. They put out fires. We saw a 74-story building fall in its footprint in about 7 seconds. All from office fires? That doesn't happen. And nobody from the fire department ever straightened him out either. We saw steel twin towers on television supposedly penetrated by aluminum airplanes. But in reality, aluminum airplanes could not penetrate a building. Google search this, bird strike on airplane, and see what you get in images. When an aluminum airplane meets a bird or drone or even hail, it maybe taps onto another airplane's wing on pushback at a gate at a crowded airport. Aluminum planes can be destroyed by hail or anything. They're very fragile. 110-story twin towers each fell at free fall speed, and they fell within, I think it was 11 seconds. On September 11th, 2001, all physics took a vacation, and the completely impossible happened. We're about to experience another event coming up here pretty soon. I can feel it. So stay alert, pay attention. Record and document everything you see. Just think about how all the details of Charlie Kirk's murder changed. And they continue to change. And some of them are just impossible. So stay alert, keep your head on a swivel, as they say. And just think about all the crazy stuff they never straightened out with us. They lied to us, and they never fixed any of the lies. Remember, more than a dozen of the hijackers are still alive.